This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my idol. You're gonna acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, guys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the SmackDown Review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I'm one of the hosts of the show, Michael Ritter. You can find me on Twitter at Michael5Ritter or on Instagram at MichaelRitter5. Also, the host of the Football Function Podcast, available wherever you find podcasts and also available on Patreon if you prefer an ad-free experience. And you can also go to Patreon to get this show ad-free as well. But joining me on today's episode to cover the SmackDown that aired on July 8th, 2022 from Fort Worth, Texas, a Texas resident himself, John Carrasco. John, how you doing, bud?
I am doing pretty good, my man, and we're here. You know, it's been a long week. I've been kind of waiting for this, I guess you could say. You know, of course, every Friday and stuff like that, but yeah, let's break it down.
Yes, sir. You can find John on Twitter at Big Speaker. That's BIGG_speaker. If you want to go ahead and go shoot him a follow over there. He's trying to build up his following a little bit. So if you're a wrestling fan and you want to talk wrestling, give some feedback. Obviously, we like to communicate via the mailbag, but you can also communicate with us on Twitter. If you just want to talk directly, like there are a couple things on the show that we might want to get your feedback on. So stay tuned, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But before that, we'll go ahead and get into the episode of SmackDown, obviously, but really quickly, Vince McMahon somehow continues to find himself deeper and deeper in a hole of you-know-what. We saw the news that happened, or that came out, I guess I should say, a little bit earlier today, how the $3 million hush money was only the tip of the iceberg as to what was underneath the water. And that's all kind of starting to come to the light. And not only that, but the report that he went backstage after the June 17th edition of SmackDown, whenever he made that appearance after the first reports were made. And he basically just said, F him, pretty much referring to us as the fans. And this is something that I, kind of talked to you about. I didn't put it on the internet or anything, but I guess I could say it now. Vince, fuck you, all right? I didn't say anything. I didn't say any cuss words or anything like that, so we can go ahead and leave that in the show. But anyways, so pretty crazy news, just kind of, to start the day off for whatever reason, just because it's a news dump Friday, I guess you could say. We always get the news, it seems like, to talk about first here on the show. And I like that. I look at it from a perspective, obviously, we're the last leg on the relay. We're closing out the week. Typically, every now and then there's shows on Saturdays and all that good stuff. But for the most part, I do feel like we kind of close out the week the right way, send the listeners into the weekend and let them enjoy their Saturday listening to the SmackDown review. And I do like being that part of the show. But it is interesting getting the news for the most part, news dump, especially if it's something like that. They want to put that, at lunch on Friday, let everybody sit on it on the weekend. Hopefully something happens and we're all talking about something else on Monday. That's typically the goal. But what were your thoughts about the Vince McMahon reports that happened today?
Well, it was kind of crazy because I was just thinking, this dude has so many different, tricks up his sleeves on, getting out of this, I guess you could say. So it's kind of getting to that point there. I just want to let it go over my head, And it's kind of bad that I say that because, this is some serious stuff. And I definitely don't want to say that I condone any of this stuff, but it's just this man has so much stake in this, what would you say, organization, business, company, even higher up than that, I guess you could say. So I just don't feel as if there's a punishment that, of course, legally, but a punishment in the WWE world that can really do anything, so that's my thought.
I totally see it. Yeah. And, and just even deeper on that is just, as long as Vince McMahon or just the last name McMahon is involved as far as the CEO or CEO, COO, whatever it is for the company, if he does get forced to step down and Stephanie McMahon is the one who kind of steps in, is it really going to feel like Vince is gone, So it kind of almost feels like, literally even after he's dead, And, I'm not wishing death on anybody, not wishing ill will on anybody, but Vince McMahon's a very old man. Nobody has lived forever. Eventually, he is going to pass away. Whenever that happens, I still won't even feel comfortable that he doesn't have his fingerprints on what's going on with the product. I wouldn't be surprised if he's writing things years in advance. You know how rappers sometimes die, and then they have some albums that get dropped later on or whatever. This could very much be like, hey, even after there's years after Vince McMahon passes away, I wouldn't be surprised if, they're still, dishing out some Vince McMahon storylines just that, he had stashed away somewhere. Just a little bit of a thought there, kind of off the rip. I honestly never even thought about that up until this moment, and it kind of just, came out. I wanted to share it with you and the listeners, obviously.
Well, I mean, definitely not bad, I like where you're going with it and everything. And of course, like, it's having, I'd say Triple H, man. I think he's, like, going to be a big name, whenever, that time comes and everything like that. I think he's, like, very well involved with all the background stuff and everything. So that's my next thought process on, just what you were talking about.
All right, well, other news that happened, we don't really have to get into any, like, I guess, out of the ring news. We could just focus on really the last time we talked, we were previewing Money in the Bank. We predicted some of the things that happened. Really quickly here, talk about some of the results as far as the winners. Liv Morgan winning the women's, Austin Theory winning the men's. Thoughts on that?
Well, Liv Morgan was definitely a eyebrow raiser. I just did it again right now. It's really crazy. But
imagine if you would have picked her to win.
High five.
Yeah, air five there.
There you go. But I mean, it was freaking crazy. I didn't expect it. I mean, of course, I saw like so many predictions for her to win on Twitter and everything like that, and I was kind of just like thinking, I was like, is she really getting this push right here that I'm not seeing? So I was kind of like, I need to pay attention a little bit more, I guess you could say, because everybody else was picking up on it, and I was still kind of seeing because I had picked Becky.
Yeah.
And that's what I was seeing it going back to, and of course it's kind of
excuse me.
It's kind of misleading, but I mean, like I said, I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
Liv, I think she's going to do her thing, but she is kind of, she needs to be broken in. That's what I think.
I mean, you can tell that she's new. You could tell that being a champion is new for her. Every now and then she'll forget, like, oh crap, I better come pick up my belt. She'll hold it up, So I even saw her do it tonight in that segment that we will get to. As far as the other winner, Austin Theory, I mean, look, I don't want to go dig up old tweets, but I will once the time comes. I feel like we're kind of inching closer to Austin Theory being, or I guess when I said a long, long time ago, hey, don't be surprised if Austin Theory ends up being the one who dethrones Roman. No, I don't want that to happen. I would honestly think that, especially at this point right now where we stand in July of 2022, is not the thing to do. But Dennis McGinley, I actually remember he asked on Twitter who's going to be the one to do it. Should it be a young guy or whatever? And I remember telling him Austin Theory. And I remember just saying it, I was like just seeing myself tweet it, I guess is what I should say. I felt like, oh man, that feels like a little bit of a hot take. That feels like I could get some pushback on that. And I would have totally understood why, but now here we are, him, winning the Money in the Bank, and I feel like that's a little bit closer to being a reality than maybe it even was back then, and I don't know, it's just one of those things that I didn't expect him to win. Obviously, he wasn't even in the match. He was added to the match right before it started. Was there any part of you, whenever Adam Pearce came out and he said, we need to add one more guy, just given the video packages that we saw, him kind of hinting that he would have liked to return that day, was there any bit of you that thought it might have been Cody Rhodes that was about to, slide his way in there? Or was it the furthest thing from your mind?
Yeah, that was definitely the farthest thing from my mind.
Okay, just making sure, because, it wasn't something that was common, but I did see, it as like a theory, no pun intended, on Twitter that, Cody Rhodes would have made sense there. Obviously, if he was healthy, that's not the case. He's going to be out for many, many more months. But whenever it was theory and, he came out, I was like, well, he's winning. As soon as I saw him walk out there, I didn't need to see anything else. I could have, turned it off right there and just gotten the final results, because for whatever reason, I was like, this just feels like, okay, he dropped the title. I didn't expect him to drop that U.S. title. I predicted Austin Theory, Air 5. You predicted Lashley to win.
I did.
And so, I mean, it doesn't makes a little bit of sense now, just later on in the night. Now, okay, that's why he dropped it, because moving on to a little bit of a different avenue here, being the Money in the Bank contract holder, now he is definitely a thorn in Roman Reigns' side, as we saw tonight on SmackDown, which we will get to. We just kind of had to touch on some of the things that happened throughout the week because, being a show here on Friday, a lot of things happen that we don't get to talk about, obviously, until this late in the week.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I'm just going to touch base on the Austin Theory winning and stuff like that. Right whenever, Adam Pearce announced that there was going to be an extra person coming in, like I said, didn't expect him to come out either, but whenever he did come out, that's whenever I was kind of like, he's about to win this thing.
Yeah.
I was kind of just like, lost interest in it. I mean, it was a great match, everything, One thing I do want to point out, or ask, actually, did it look like as if Omos is scared of heights?
Honestly, it kind of did.
Because he only went up like 2 to 3 steps, bro. And, I mean...
Well, what's funny is before this match happened, we were kind of talking in the Discord chat, and Casual Wrestling Fan mentioned that. He said, I think it would be funny if Omos was scared of heights, and he didn't want to climb up the ladder. And that basically is what happened, He didn't want to climb up. They kept saying, Omos doesn't need a ladder. He can just reach the briefcase. Well, that was kind of overplayed. They said that way too many times. I was tired of it by the time the match was over. But I guess Omos kind of took that to heart, and he said, hey, I don't need a ladder. I'm not climbing up one of those things. So we really didn't see him, get much more vertical than what he already is just standing there, which is pretty damn tall.
Yeah, after I saw him do that, I was just kind of thinking, I don't know, man. That just kind of reminds me of some past events, with some people and stuff like that. And it just doesn't, or it just didn't look right, It was just like, he was definitely like the last person to win on my list after seeing that, But yeah, like seeing, it's just Austin Theory, man. I just don't get it, I kind of want him to go back with the Bobby Lashley type feud, I don't want him to be in this little circle with Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns. Who else wants to be in there,
Yeah.
I just don't know. But yeah.
You mentioned it, though, just really quickly, Bobby Lashley. This United States Championship reign feels like it might be a little bit different. Now, I don't know if they're just trying to take a page out of Gunther's playbook as far as making that mid-card belt feel respectable and feel credible, putting it on a guy like Bobby Lashley. But just his promo on Monday night. Now, we're not a Monday Night Raw show, obviously. Matt has a Monday Night Raw review. But from what I saw in that segment on Monday Night Raw, whenever he just basically said, hey, nobody on any promotion, not just Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, whatever, not any other company can take this United States Championship from me. And it's almost like Bobby Lashley saying, like, all right, enough with the BS. I'm a freak of nature. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm more athletic than you. I'm probably like 15 years older than you. It is what it is. You're not taking this belt off me. And this is the Bobby Lashley that I want to see going forward. We don't get to talk about him on SmackDown, but you mentioned his name, and I had to kind of get that off because I like what I see from Big Bob, and I think he's got a big title reign ahead of him with that United States Championship.
Yeah, I think he's going to do good. I mean, like I said, I like how, I want it to stay in that direction, but I don't know, man. I can't really put too much on it, but yeah, I'm definitely happy for him winning that belt.
Well, I guess with all that being said, here we are with a 13-minute open. We can go ahead and dive in to the SmackDown review again. Excuse me, this SmackDown aired on July 8th, 2022 from right here in Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, which is only about 5 hours, give or take, from where this podcast is being recorded right now. I actually had no idea that SmackDown was going to be in Fort Worth tonight.
I did.
And you did?
Yeah, I was actually mentioning to Lacey whenever she was going out of town that if she was to, somehow, you could possibly be there, I was totally jealous, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah. Tino Valentino, a guy who I've mentioned on this show, an independent wrestler here in the Texas, the Texas state for sure, but he wrestles everywhere. I've seen him wrestle in Kansas. I've seen him wrestle in Ohio, Michigan. He's been going all around here lately with the CYN, the Control Your Narrative, which is where Braun Strowman and EC3 wrestle. He's been making his way around the independent wrestling circuit. He was actually at SmackDown tonight. He had pretty good seats too. So
Nice.
shout out to Tino. If you're a fan of independent wrestlers and you just really like watching dudes who are pretty damn good inside the ring and have just an all around good gimmick. Tino_Valentino17 on Instagram. If you want to go follow him, check out his work. And also just Tino Valentino on Facebook. That's probably where he posts a lot of his stuff, actually. So if you are on Facebook, Tino Valentino, you'll definitely be able to find him. But after, all that plug, good stuff is out of the way.
Shout out.
We can go ahead and get into the SmackDown. And it's opened the best way you can open a show with Roman Reigns. Just in terms of ratings. If you want to get everybody's eyeballs on the TV... Now, typically, I had fast-forward time, and I really regretted not taking advantage and fast-forwarding that entrance because it was damn near 8 minutes. It's what it felt like. It was probably like 6 or 7 to be closer. But, I know that whenever I did get to the commercial break, which was kind of weird. Did you see Austin Theory just kind of standing there at the top of the stage holding that briefcase and they went to commercial? That was weird. See, if I would have fast-forwarded, I wouldn't have got to see that.
Okay, so you fast-forwarded
I didn't.
Or you didn't?
I did. I said I wished I would have fast-forwarded through Roman Reigns' entrance because I realized that it was about 7 or 8 minutes that I could have gotten through in like 10 seconds if I would have just fast-forwarded.
So what did you think about the new little graphic?
Oh, with the Usos there? Yeah, I pointed that out to Caleb. Yeah, that's dope.
That was pretty tight, right?
Yeah, that is dope. They finally added him a little bit there. I actually need to pay a little bit closer attention to the Roman Reigns because for the longest time, I was doing that. Mm-hmm. If you look at his facial hair, it's the babyface Roman Reigns. That's what it was. They might have, updated it and put the full beard on him. But goatee Roman Reigns, it's well known, well documented. That's babyface Roman Reigns. But anyways... They open the show, and he opens it in a form of gratitude. It almost seems like he's thankful. He's appreciative to be alive. He mentions that, I'm happy to be alive. I'm here on my show, SmackDown. I really couldn't be any better right now. He points out the Usos being happy after retaining their tag team championships this past weekend at Money in the Bank. But where things kind of take a little bit of a turn here, or at least they shift, the energy shifts, is whenever he points to his special counsel. His wise man, so to speak, Paul Heyman. And he has a weird look on his face. So he tells him to stick his hand out. He does. It's really shaking. The camera zooms in. He's obviously scared. Roman Reigns puts the microphone in his hand, and he basically just says, look, the reason why I'm nervous like this is because we do have a problem on our hands. And I was thinking, are you really this worried about Austin Theory? That's what I was thinking in my head because the Money in the Bank, and they did that right before the commercial break. They kind of just showed him there. I was like, are you really shaking because of Austin Theory? All I've been seeing is memes of the Usos laughing their ass off at the thought of Austin Theory cashing in. They're like, Austin Theory's cashing in his Money in the Bank, and you'll see a picture of the Usos just dying laughing. It's just, just taking shots at Theory. So that's kind of just where my head was. And then immediately he was like, Brock Lesnar. And then that's when I was like, oh, I forgot about that. He has a match at SummerSlam with Brock Lesnar, but that still didn't sway the way I feel about the outcome of that. I still feel like it's going to be Roman Reigns. It doesn't make sense. We talked about it before we went on air, which, obviously doesn't help the listeners out, but we basically talked about the fact that it just wouldn't make sense for somebody like Brock to be the one to dethrone Roman. It wouldn't have made sense at WrestleMania. Just because it's 4 months later or whatever, it doesn't make sense now. So we're not going to do that. They're just trying to have a money match at SummerSlam. It makes total sense. But for whatever reason, Paul Heyman's trying to paint the picture that it's different now because of Brock Lesnar having his back up against the wall. And he's basically in must-win mode. And he references some times in his career when he's been in must-win mode. 2002 versus The Rock, whenever he won his first WWE championship and became the youngest WWE champion of all time. And then WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker's perfect 21-0 WrestleMania streak, and Brock Lesnar snapped it. And, obviously not a lot of people predicted that was going to happen, but, he kind of references that, all right, no one expects Brock Lesnar to win and be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns and take the unified Universal Championship, whatever it's called, off of him. And I agree in a sense that Brock Lesnar with his back up against the wall and just the urge that WWE has to swerve us, he is a threat right now, more than what maybe I gave him credit for before the show. But still, Paul Heyman, A+ promo here. Good stuff. Yep. Great work by him. Didn't stumble over a word. His demeanor, body language, everything. Checks all the boxes. That's just something he does on a weekly basis. But I just don't feel like it made me feel like Brock Lesnar is going to be the one to do it. And I know that, just because Brock Lesnar isn't going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns doesn't mean we can't have a good program. But we just saw it. That's the problem, right? We just saw it leading into WrestleMania when he was Cowboy Brock. That's why it's hard for me to get invested. And I know that, Heyman's doing the best he can, giving these emotional, passionate promos, and he's going to do that, for the next 4 weeks until we get there, or 3 weeks, however long it is. But I don't know. Am I wrong here? Am I, a little bit too hard on this? Are you into this right here with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar? Because to me, it's just like, getting the same thing for lunch every day, pretty much.
Well, I'm going to start with I'm over it, But, the fact that Brock, he has those, what would you say, like asterisks next to his name saying, that he's done this, he's broke this, There's like that possibility, like how you're saying, okay, maybe this can happen. But long run, I don't think so, Like I don't see a reason for it, Basically, I just a stepping stone, another stepping stone. I don't see much for it. And the way Paul Heyman's trying to make it seem, man, I'm just like, bro, we've done this before. We've seen this. We know what to expect, I guess you could say. So I can't really like get behind the promo. It was great. He did his freaking job. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I just can't see it. Like seeing Austin Theory come out and running around, even before, like whenever he was just holding it and stuff like that. I thought that it was gonna like be involved with him, more than the Brock thing. So I don't know. It's kind of putting me in a little loop, but I don't think Brock is going to be the person. Yeah,
and that's what that Money in the Bank briefcase does. Mm-hmm. They are just always going to be just that mosquito that's flying around your head, that fly that you just want to swat. Mm-hmm. But in this case, it's more like a bumblebee or something like that, or maybe a wasp is more so the right analogy to use, because you can get stung by a wasp. And, the Money in the Bank briefcase is ultimately meant to sting you, eventually, inevitably, whenever. But anyways, like you mentioned, Theory does come out, make a little bit of like a lap around just to kind of mock him. We're going to see a lot more of that going forward until that briefcase is cashed in. And I feel like because they went ahead and cashed in the women so quick, Theory might be sitting on this thing for a while just to keep him relevant by default. Mm-hmm. Because McMahon's so high on him. If he has the Money in the Bank briefcase, it's almost like an automatic storyline. It's almost like a built-in storyline. He doesn't have to always be in a program with somebody else. He doesn't have to necessarily be feuding with somebody else or going for a title, even though he made it, clear that he is going for a rematch for that United States Championship at SummerSlam with Bobby Lashley. He doesn't necessarily have to be in a feud for a title or anything like that, because that Money in the Bank briefcase is going to keep him relevant for as long as he has it, because he's a threat. He's technically a number one contender 24/7 as long as he has that. So it's just one thing that that Theory does have going for him. Well, I think he's going to have a damn good fall going into the, I guess, new year. And it's crazy to say it being July, but there really is only one more season left, which is the build from SummerSlam to Survivor Series before we're creeping up on the new year. It's pretty damn fast pretty crazy how fast the wrestling year moves by. But anyways, moving on here, we get Jinder and Shanky versus the Viking Raiders. Pretty quick match. Viking Raiders, who are now full on heels, they win and they continue to, I guess, attack Jinder Mahal, or at least put a little bit of a beating on him until the New Day come out. I don't know if I was just, it was too close to us getting off work, or what it was, if I was just, not really feeling it at the moment. But for some reason, when the New Day came out, they were annoying the hell out of me. I don't know if it was just the repetitive, loud-ass thing that they were saying on the microphone. I don't even know what it was. All I remember saying was, oh my gosh, shut up and come out already. That's kind of like what I was saying. And I was just like, man, I made sure to write it down that they came out in an extremely annoying way. And they have a couple ass-beating tickets. And that was funny, though. And I became fans of the Viking Raiders at this moment because it turns out those ass-beating tickets were for them. They were ends up the one to get their ass kicked. So what'd you think about this?
Well, the match, crap. I think Jinder just needs to freaking loosen up a little bit. You know, Shanky was out there trying to get the
How
crowd.
long before Jinder starts breaking it down with him? What's your count? Few weeks, months?
I'm gonna give it 3 weeks.
Okay.
3 weeks. He has to get on this train of just, you know, not being so serious, I guess.
I mean, SummerSlam's in Nashville. It's a music city, so why not let the music flow?
Like, that'll work. I mean, but yeah, that's how I think. But I mean, Shanky, he wasn't really even dancing. Really, he was out there like clapping, you know, trying to get the crowd involved.
Yeah,
you know,
typical,
trying to get some
babyface things. You know,
gender pumped up, I guess you could say. So I mean, man, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was just bad for me. I mean, even like seeing the Viking Raiders, you know, kind of be dominant. You know, I just don't feel as if it's like that they're winning how they should be winning. I guess you could say it's just kind of just like BS and stuff like that. But New Day, I mean, they're doing their thing. I mean, you on the other hand, you weren't for it. I was kind of for this. You know, I was like, okay. You know.
I mean, after the entrance, I was good. Once they started getting into the promo and talking, it was cool. But it was just the obnoxious things like. They've been doing it for so long. It's just like, man, come on. Like
the only thing that got me was whenever they started doing their little like look at our butts and stuff that. You know, that was kind of okay. Let me get some freaking bites of my food real quick and kind of get turned away. I guess you know. But other than that, I thought it was freaking funny and stuff like that. And like I said last time, bro, I feel as if they're just the people to keep this all interesting. You know. Yeah. So I mean, I think that they're doing what they're supposed to do, and Viking Raiders aren't getting what they're supposed to get, I guess you could say. You know, that's what I'm kind of taking out of it.
Yeah, and the New Day, they could annoy you till the cows come home, but the thing is, every time they get on the mic, you never know when, like, a zinger's going to come. Mm-hmm. You know, you never know. I mean, especially, you know, here in Texas, you never know what they're going to say, you know, about us. Like I mentioned on the last show, MVP pointed right at me and said I was ugly as you know what, so I'll take it, you know, and just, you know, you never really know. You know, they like to take shots at Texas, so I'm all for it. I take good fun in that whenever it happens. But anyways, moving on here, U.S. Open Challenge. That's what this was advertised as. Basically a glorified contenders match, though, is what it was supposed to be.
Okay, let me stop you right there. Okay, I know you be fast forwarding. So did you happen to see whenever Happy Corbin attacked Pat McAfee?
Yeah, last week when they showed the video package?
After the Money in the Bank?
Yeah, after the Money in the Bank, yeah.
Okay, so you knew that's why he wasn't there for tonight, right? Or suppose.
In kayfabe, yes.
Okay, yeah, just wanted to kind of touch on that. Dude, he kind of did his thing on.
Like took some bumps or?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm going to say Happy Corbin in this because he really did his thing. You know, Pat McAfee, he took that, I don't even know what it was called, but it was pretty nasty.
The End of Days?
Was it?
When it on the outside of the ring?
It was, bro. It was the End of Days. Yeah, that was freaking, that was nasty.
Yeah, End of Days.
But yeah, my bad to cut you off, but that was something
you're good.
That I had to.
I thought I messed up at first or something because this gets confusing, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
Because at first it was a U.S. Open Challenge, right? Mm-hmm. And then it eventually turns into basically a glorified contenders match because it ends up being Shinsuke versus Ludwig Kaiser. And if Shinsuke wins, then he might get an opportunity, right? Isn't that it? Like, it's not even like a for sure thing, so it's kind of confusing. But anyways, Baron Corbin, Happy Corbin, is on commentary for this match, and he kind of impersonates Pat McAfee. He tries to anyway. Another pretty annoying moment, right? The very next segment after the New Day, another thing annoys me here. I was like, oh, dang it, man, come on. I just want to enjoy the dang show here, man. But anyways, he impersonates Pat. But we get this match, Shinsuke versus Ludwig. Shinsuke does win with a Kinshasa, but I will say, really quickly after the match, Gunther is pissed, and he forces Ludwig to take some chops to the chest, about 3 of them or whatever, and that just kind of shows you the type of presence that Gunther has. You know, he'll make another grown man who has a presence himself. You know, Ludwig isn't nothing to sneeze at in the ring, and just his promo and all that good stuff. He does look like he can definitely handle his own as well. And for him to just basically cower down and just be the punk you-know-what for Gunther was a little bit crazy to see. But this match really was, this segment really wasn't even about the match. You know, Shinsuke wins, and now we know, okay, cool. At the end of the match, we kind of see the dynamic unfold between Gunther and Ludwig, how it is a little bit of like, all right, you're going to embarrass me, I'm going to embarrass you after the match. Mm-hmm. But it was really about the commentary. It was really about Corbin and what he was saying about Pat McAfee. How even Cole was taking shots. Did you hear any of the things he was saying when he was like talking about how Pat McAfee made it in the NFL and Corbin didn't? Like, he's like, yeah, when Pat McAfee actually made it in the NFL, and he's like, oh, yeah, good one, Michael Cole. Yeah, I actually had to leave Indianapolis because they don't know how to play football or something like that. He was taking shots, yeah.
I wasn't.
He says, I had to leave Indianapolis and go to Arizona, where, and he said he was, pulling guard, and he runs people over, kind of similar to what he did to Pat. He was basically just cutting promos left and right and trying to further the storyline, and that's what this segment was. Furthering two storylines simultaneously at the same time, because now we get more further with the Intercontinental Championship picture with, Gunther now obviously possibly having a new challenger in Shinsuke, and then Corbin and McAfee, even, McAfee not even being there, Corbin being on commentary, they were able to simultaneously progress two separate storylines in one segment, and I just had to give credit there to the booking of SmackDown for getting that done.
Well, yeah, I definitely didn't catch any of that, bro. I was like more, I don't even know if I was feeling that pain that Ludwig was freaking
from the chops. Ooh, that last one looked like a karate chop straight to the throat.
Like most of them looked like he was like backhanding.
Yeah.
The first time, then that last one he like palmed it, bro. That was pretty nasty. But that was going through my head the whole time, like, how are you taking these, bro? Like, how are you not getting mad? Like, it looked like he honestly wanted to cry.
Yeah.
I was like, bro. And then after that last one, brother, did you see his, like, chest starting to, like, kind of bruise already? I was like, bro, that was, like, 5 seconds ago. What the heck? But, I don't know. I'm happy for Shinsuke. He definitely looks dominant. I guess you could say, like, people are saying vintage Shinsuke and stuff like that. To me, that looks pretty cool to me. I've never seen it before. So, the way that he's kind of, like, sliding through the ring and stuff that now. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Ludwig, he looks pretty impressive too. I think he could do freaking phenomenal as a singles person if he wanted to. So, I'd give this one about a good 3.5 stars.
Nice. One quick thing I'll point out, we can move on from this really quickly. I don't know if any of you, as far as the listeners, watch the show The Boys. I've been trying to get John on this bandwagon for a while now. This is for you guys. If there are any
I'm
of you,
probably in the majority here.
No, he's in the minority. You guys will back me up. You guys know The Boys is a badass show. But anyways, Gunther, he for some reason he reminds me of an adult version of Homelander's son. And I know you don't know who that is, but this is for the listeners who do watch The Boys. Tell me if I'm crazy. Just looking at that little. What's face when he gets mad, Homelander's son that is, and Gunther with this, this frowning face that he has for some reason, just a little bit of a resemblance there, like he could definitely play a childhood Gunther in a movie or something like that if they were to do that. But just wanted to point that out really quickly and give a shout out to The Boys, obviously. But moving on here, a pretty important part of the show, Liv Morgan celebrates with the WWE Universe. She comes out and basically just, it's Michael Cole in the ring. That's what it was advertised, though. Liv Morgan is going to celebrate, and that's essentially what it was supposed to be. But Natalya interrupts and points out that Liv Morgan would have never beaten a fresh Ronda Rousey. You can make a damn good argument there that she would not have been able to. And Natalya says that she's the one who wore her down. And if it wasn't for her, then she just absolutely wouldn't be champion right now. And out comes Ronda Rousey, who... Oh man, some of the stuff she says on the microphone is cringeworthy, dude. It's like watching Michael Scott in a public speaking setting, when he's talking to a crowd. Mm-hmm. Just watching Ronda Rousey cut a promo on the microphone is just some of the things she says. Every now and then she'll cut a good one that's likely scripted, but whenever she just tries to just go out there and cut one off the rip. She says things like natty butta batty or something like that. Whatever she said, that was weird. Did you hear that?
I did not.
You didn't hear that? Oh my gosh!
And I'm glad I did.
Just go back and listen to right whenever she acknowledges Natty, she says something weird, and I was like, come on, man! I'm trying to sit here and enjoy the damn show, but you're gonna just say something like that and just completely take me out of the moment. But I know it really wasn't that big of a deal. But just whenever she does this on a weekly basis, it's like, man. Who is letting her go out there, just give her a microphone and say, talk, write something down for her. Just help her out a little bit. But Let's see here. I kind of just had to point that out real quickly. Let me find where I was here in the notes. Basically, Ronda Rousey says that at SummerSlam, Liv Morgan is going to realize that challenging for a championship is a hell of a lot easier than defending one, which is definitely true. And then Natty eventually cheap shots Ronda, which leads to a one-on-one match between those two. Didn't last very long. Ronda Rousey does force Natalya to submit with looked like a leg bar or something like that. I'm not really sure what it was. Not really a MMA guy, so do not come at me if I got that move wrong. But either way, Natty taps out here. What'd you think about it?
Well, definitely wasn't a fan of this. I mean, we just seen this, you know. I mean, of course, Natty, she did her thing to where she put Ronda in this situation, you know. And now you're just going to tell me that you're just going to straight up lose to a like 50, 75% Ronda, you know, just straight like that, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, so that was kind of disappointment. I mean, couldn't really like think too much of it. And like I said, I didn't catch any of that just because whenever Ronda comes on, bro, it's kind of like my head just kind of like goes somewhere else, you know, not too much, especially whenever she came out with this freaking, I don't even know what you want to call this, face painting. I'm not even going to call it eye makeup, bro. Whenever she comes out with that stuff, I just can't get with it. Can't take it serious. And I don't know, especially with that little limp, bro. I mean, kind of saw her coming out like that, but then she was still like doing some leg kicks and stuff like that. And I don't know. Just wasn't a fan of this one.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I do feel like this might have been I don't know, man. I want to say this is going to be the last that we've seen of it, but it almost looks like they're going in the direction of a triple threat. It's already been announced, Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey for a rematch at SummerSlam. But Natalya's just creeping around in this where it has all the making of a triple threat. Mm-hmm. You know, like it has that stench of it. Like, this doesn't smell like a one-on-one match that's going to happen. You know, it smells like Natalya is going to be involved one way or another, but
I'd be okay with that.
Well, I'm glad. Something else that I know you're okay with, one of your favorite parts of the entire show. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Maximum Male Models. They present the 2022 tennis collection. And John, I mean, the floor is yours, but I know you got about 3 pages of notes on this specific segment, so go ahead.
This segment right here, I'm not even going to call it Maximum Male Models anymore. I call it Making Me Mad.
Oh my God, that's brilliant right there. That is,
bro.
good stuff.
This is freaking. I don't get it. Like, hopefully we can get some feedback from maybe some women on this because.
Yeah, exactly.
Me, I definitely can't sit here and watch this. I don't even know. I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna call them their regular names, Mace and Mansoor.
Yeah.
Not even this other stuff, bro. I can't get behind it. I'm freaking disappointed that Max is doing this stuff. I'm not even going to say his last name. And I don't know, man. I just, this is not for me. But yeah, definitely if any women are listening to this, I want to know, is this something that is interesting to you? If you got us on Patreon or anything like that, send in a little voicemail to, or even an email to the mailbag and let me know. This is freaking horrible. And I just want to know women's perspective on this. Is this entertaining or is it not?
Yeah, it's a very good point. Let's see here.
I just can't do it, bro. I mean, it's freaking like these dudes are just coming out here and expecting us to like applaud this. Like, why? You know?
See, one thing that I kind of
like what's the next step?
Exactly. That's where I was gonna go. Is like. See, the thing is, like the analogy that I was going to use in this situation is, it's almost similar. Like you know the Eminem song "Stan," right? Like, come on, Stan.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, the music video and basically just like how the song goes at the end is like him basically driving off of a bridge, like into a river or whatever it is. That's almost like where I see this going. Like, where is it going? It's almost like going to fly off a cliff. How do you transition into the ring? Like, how are you going to turn this into a wrestling centered gimmick?
Yeah, that's
like I really don't like. I truly don't know how they're going to. It's almost like retribution. Like, and I know you don't freaking know about that. I mentioned that again several weeks ago, but it was almost like, how do you transition that into like a straight up one-on-one wrestling match? And that's just one thing I don't know. Like, is somebody going to crash their next photo shoot, whatever you want to call it. It's almost like a little bit like a glamour shot type thing when you got the, what is it, like a boa or something like that, where the girls would always put that around their, you know how girls would take like those glamour shots and they'd have like those feathered things that go right there.
I don't know.
I'm getting way off topic
know.
here. I think it's called like a boa or something like that. If you're, and I could be butchering that, which I have butchered several things. So if I have gotten this one wrong as well, definitely get at me and let me know exactly what that's called. But something like that. And we're just, the whole reason we got down that wormhole was just talking about these guys in their photo shoot. And honestly, they don't even deserve this much damn time on our show.
Oh, no. But the only thing I'm going to say is, like, if there is something, the freaking, I don't even care what it was called or what it is, but the website that Max was freaking promoting, you know, to send your applications in, I can see, like, I don't even want to say is R-Truth, you know, or some people like that are all in this freaking like 24/7, you know, type deal, you know, all those backstage characters and stuff like that. I can see them like probably like doing, like, getting all dressed up and stuff like this and sending pictures to that website, and then of course it being displayed like on the Tron or something like that, you know. That I hope no fans freaking send any pictures to this thing. Don't give it no justice. That's all I'm saying. Remember, making me mad.
Yeah, making me mad. I'm glad you hit back on that. That was some good stuff. But anyways, we can go ahead and move on here to something else that happened. It was supposed to be a tag match. Aaliyah and Lacey Evans versus Shotzi Blackheart and Shayna Baszler. That match doesn't happen. Aaliyah and Lacey come out first. Lacey's entrance is kind of weird. She comes out, she goes back, she comes out, and she cuts a promo on the crowd saying, you guys haven't been through half the stuff I've been through, and if you did, you wouldn't even be half the person I am, or something like that. I don't know. It was literally channel-changing stuff. Was not interested in this. She ends up knocking out Aaliyah, and I was just like, cool, closer to the main event, which I thought was going to be Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. We'll get there here in just a second, but what'd you think about this supposed-to-be tag match ended up being a Lacey Evans heel turn?
Well, I thought this was pretty awesome. You know, I haven't really known her from past and stuff like that.
So this is
like,
a different side of her.
Yeah, seeing this actually like happen in front of me, I guess you could say, was pretty awesome. You know, I felt the emotion behind it. You know, I kind of felt like, you know, she wasn't getting that respect, you know, what she was expecting, you know. So she dissed us. She did.
I was about to say
it was pretty bad, but I mean, I'm not mad at it. I mean, she gave us three, or I wouldn't even say us, Fort Worth. She gave y'all 3 chances to freaking represent for Texas, and y'all didn't do it. But I mean, I'm happy. Yeah. Her being like mouthy on the mic is definitely better than her being sentimental on the mic.
Yeah. Find an identity. That's what I want to see. That's kind of the thing that she lacked for like that 5 weeks that it was just like a video package. I mean, we kind of knew it's just sob story after sob story. But now it's like she's a full-on, like, okay, she's Lacey Evans. This is the Lacey Evans I remember. Like, I'm better than you. And if you got something to say about it, I'm going to knock you out. That's pretty much how it is now. And I'm looking forward to that going forward. Just this segment itself might have just had a little bit of the stench from the previous segment, the Maximum Male model. So it's just maybe them being back-to-back had a little bit of something to do with it. But up next, we get Usos versus Los Lotharios in what was a championship contenders match. So if the Los Lotharios win, they would get an opportunity at the championships at some point, or at least possibly earn that. But the Lethal Lovers, they do have a little bit of offense in this match. They start to look like they might have, you know, the capabilities to make it interesting, but they do get a little bit cocky, a little disrespectful, and it seems like that's where the Usos flip the switch, and then they make light work of Los Lotharios and end up getting the win with the 1D as an honorary Us. What'd you think about this one?
Well, it was an easy dub, you know.
Yeah.
I couldn't really put like too much behind it. Whenever like I saw the Usos coming out, I didn't think Los Lotharios were going to be the opponents, you know. So that was kind of a twist. But I mean, I didn't expect nothing of it, you know. Didn't really have no, of course, different expectations on what was supposed to happen. But I'm actually let you follow up with this next part of the Caleb Braxton part.
Basically where she talks about them getting a quote unquote false win, because Montez Ford's shoulder being up. They blame it on the referee, They basically say that it's the referee's fault. That's not our fault. Our job is to win the match. If he's not going to see his shoulder be down, it is what it is. We're going to take the win. I would do the exact same thing. It's not your job to make sure that his shoulder's down. It's not like they're a babyface tag team. They're heels. They're going to take whatever win they can get, especially a championship match on a pay-per-view. Yeah, you're going to do what you can. I mean, maybe I'm just a heel. Maybe I'm just a heel at heart, and that's just instinctively what I would do as well. But, I mean, I just don't see anything wrong with the Usos getting the win there. Do a better job kicking out Montez Ford. Honestly, if that's the case, if your shoulder's already up, lean over a little bit and get the rest of your body up. But that's pretty much all I got on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pure form of winning.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it wasn't
Can't
cheap.
really say, like Jimmy said, can't really say it was on them.
Yeah.
It was on the ref.
So we will see a rematch probably at SummerSlam. You can go and just expect that. Next time we see the Street Profits on the microphone, they'll definitely respond to the Usos. But moving on here to the main event, advertised as Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, which was essentially a number one contenders match for the opportunity to fight Roman Reigns at Clash at the Castle. Sheamus pretends to be sick. He actually mentions COVID, if I'm not mistaken. He says, I need to be tested before I compete in this match. Did he say COVID? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure because I don't think anybody else has mentioned it straight up just like that on WWE TV since it's happened.
Good way to use it.
But he gets out of this match, and Butch takes his place. Ends up being a squash match after that, though. I mean, Drew McIntyre just claymores him next Tuesday. Rich Holland tries to attack Drew after the match, but he gets dropped as well. And then we get an old-fashioned top rope slice with Angela. Not Angela from The Office. Angela, the sword that almost called him Dwight McIntyre. Drew McIntyre carries out to the ring. But I will say, in terms of slicing ropes, you could slice all the white ropes. Go ahead and go to the back and wherever they store the ropes, slice every single white rope that there is and say, well, sorry, it looks like we got to bring out the blue ropes next week. We don't have any more white ones. And, just go from there. Hey, and even Raw, Raw will have to use the red ropes. And, we're doing them a favor.
Yeah.
So just, if I were Drew, I'd continue slicing. Don't just stop at the top rope. Keep on going there. But Drew McIntyre, I guess, so did Butch get to take his place in terms of Sheamus? Like, if Butch were to win, would Butch have gotten the opportunity?
Oh, no.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure because there was a lot going on at that moment. So I wanted to make sure that Butch didn't just have a chance to, get a number one contenders opportunity.
Yeah, man, this one right here was kind of, man, I don't know. Sheamus, he did his thing with using the COVID thing. That's all I got to say. But I wasn't a fan of this, bro. I didn't want to see this little feisty little dog that he called him, get into the match with Drew, bro, because you basically know exactly what's going to happen. And I didn't think that was a good way to, end it, I guess you could say, But I can say that Butch freaking took that Claymore pretty nasty, bro. He freaking did, the little flip in the air and everything, bro. And I don't know. That was, the highlight of the match for me, I guess you could say.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre's in excellent shape. That's just one thing I noticed. I was like, man, this dude he looks like someone who's cut from the same cloth as Bobby Lashley. And I know he's not as big as Bobby Lashley. I'm not saying he's as muscular. Bobby Lashley is in a league of his own. But Drew McIntyre, just from an impressive specimen standpoint, he's in that same, I guess, tier in terms of just WWE wrestlers. But that does do it for us here on the SmackDown review. Another good episode in the books, in my opinion. Number 90 since I've been doing this. So another milestone. Creeping up on 100. We got to do something special for that 100th episode. We'll see exactly when it's going to be. Obviously, 10 weeks from now. That's football season right there.
Yep.
But anyways, John, anything you want to say? Any shout-outs, any plugs, anything like that before we officially close the SmackDown review?
Well, I definitely want to give a shout-out to the followers, man. Thank y'all for, making this a every week thing, and definitely want to get some interaction this week and see what y'all got to say about some of these things that we asked. And definitely want to give a shout out to Mike, man. Appreciate you for having me on another week and everything. And, Football Function, check it out. He just went through, the 1 through 32 QBs.
Yeah, my
rankings.
co-host ranked his quarterbacks. Appreciate the plug there. He ranked his starting quarterbacks in the NFL 1 through 32. So that's, a nice little juicy episode. Definitely some head scratchers, some pretty, I guess, interesting placement. So if you're a football fan and you're just into that type of thing, go check us out over at Football Function. I do think that you will enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. And then, just want to wrap up the show like that and everything. And, just want to say that I enjoy it, man. I'm definitely having fun in this chair.
Oh, yeah. I can tell you right now, the listeners enjoy you being here. I definitely enjoy you being here, and the episodes in general are just a lot better whenever you're giving your opinions as well. So, yeah, shout out to Matt. Shout out to all the other co-hosts here on the WWE podcast and their shows. We appreciate them and their feedback. And obviously, John already mentioned it. Shout out to you, the listeners. If you're a first-time listener, thank you so much for stumbling on this episode and choosing it. You have many options to listen to, whether it's music, other podcasts, whatever it is that you're doing. We appreciate you taking us with you and letting us be part of your day. If you're a regular listener, thank you so much for making this part of your weekly routine, and hopefully you will continue to do that, obviously, as we continue to roll through the year. We talk about it all the time. WWE has no off-season. So there's going to be a SmackDown every single week, and we will be here to break it down for you. So with all that being said, guys, have a damn good weekend. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams. And I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.